Jahi. O dear Lord, feminine and masculine form, we today seek your guidance and blessings in this very new undertaking, and we ask that you shower your grace upon everyone so that we may experience utmost progress and success. Om Shanti, 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 Harihi Om. Thank you.
A blessed good day to all. Allahumma ameen. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Translation. All praises are for Allah, Lord of the worlds, most gracious, most merciful. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Guide us onto the straight path, not the path of those who have earned thy anger, nor the path of those who have gone astray. O Allah, as we move to open this new court facility, we humbly beseech you in helping us to execute and provide justice towards our fellow humans. We pray that you, our Lord, bestow your guidance and mercies upon us, those responsible for executing the same, and to the citizens of our country, One Guyana, and for all to deal justly with each other. Thank you.
You may take your seats. Thank you. It is a blessed day indeed. Thank you, Pastor Mahendra Sharma, Pandit Bishwanath Gusai, and Imam Azad Usman. Honorable Chancellor of the Judiciary Acting, Madam Justice Yonit Cummings Edwards, Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Mr. Mohabir Anil Nandlal, Senior Counsel, Honorable Chief Justice Acting, Madam Justice Roxanne George, Senior Counsel, Justices of Appeal, puisne judges, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Her Worship Sherdal Isaacs Marcos, Chief Magistrate Acting, East Demerara Magisterial District Magistrates, namely Senior Magistrate Fabio Azur, Magistrate Rochelle Liverpool, and Magistrate Alicia George, and other magistrates, representative from the Chamber of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Regional Chairman, Region Number 4, Mr. Daniel Siram, chairpersons of the Neighborhood Democratic Councils in the East Demerara Magisterial District, the Commissioner of Police Acting, Mr. Clifton Hicken, Commander of Regional Division 4C, Superintendent Krishnadat Ramana, and other officers of Division
This will increase the access to justice and ensure that the rights of survivors of domestic abuse and violence are protected. UNICEF as a partner is committed to working with the judiciary, with the government, local communities, and children to ensure that every child can access a justice system that is child-friendly, gender-sensitive, and well-equipped to secure their rights. And I can see this building is well-equipped to provide very confidential services. UNICEF remains committed to work closely together with the judiciary and other partners for justice for every children. Once again, on behalf of UNICEF, I would like to congratulate the judiciary and all those who are involved in this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Akhtar. It is hoped that our partnership with UNICEF will continue so that our vulnerable groups will continue to access justice without barriers. Up next is a cultural item, this time a dance by members of the National Dance Company of Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our dancers. A dance entitled Guyana's Pride, accompanied by music in the form of songs Guyana and Guyana's Sons and Daughter, the National Dance Company of Guyana.
If I think about the ways you make me smile, I'd be sitting here and smiling for a while. Although I know I make you cry sometimes, your happiness is ever on my mind. I cannot repay for everything you've done, but my love for you burns brighter than the sun. No matter where my feet and mind may go, my heart will lead to you and you alone. I'll be holding on to you forevermore. Guyana, Guyana, may the blessings of God never leave your shore.
Jamaica, Plisma, Bawirish, Guyana.
From battle rhymers, peaks of power they're coming. Mash it up to the quarantines, lost and with the jazz are drumming. When the ripple known these flames come the vaqueros, and millionaires showing off in the new Prados. Guyana's sons and daughters, hold the future in your hands. Sons and daughters, taking on into foreign lands. Sons and daughters, make sure it's back and head held high. Sons and daughters, take our own head and wave it high. Sons and daughters, you hold the future. Said it's up to you. Oh, do what you gotta do. One
special thanks to the Guyana Dance Company for that beautiful performance. Indeed, our sons and daughters have a lot to be thankful for and a lot to celebrate. I'd wish to acknowledge at this point in time His Honor retired Justice Brassington Reynolds, who has joined us. The judiciary has always been proactive in implementing programs and systems to enhance the experience of court users and to improve efficiency. Mr. Alex Graham and his team at Tagman Incorporated are a valued partner in this regard, having been instrumental in the launch of digital notice boards at courts across the country. The team and Mr. Graham have also been engaged in ongoing work with the judiciary in relation to the digitalization of the criminal case management system. However, here to tell us about yet another initiative of the judiciary, this time as it relates to a new maintenance system, please welcome Mr. Graham, Information Technology Consultant at the Supreme Court.
Honorable Justice Yonit Cummings Edwards, Chancellor of the Judiciary Acting, Honorable Mr. Anil Nandlao, Senior Counsel, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, judicial officers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Commissioner of Police, Mr. Clifton Hicken, and I want to acknowledge as well Mr. Daniel Seram, Chairman of Region Number 4. In the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to lean on the already established protocols for everyone else who's gathered here this afternoon. This gathering and ceremony here today to mark another milestone in the renewal and expansion of the physical facilities designed for increased access to and delivery of justice in Guyana is a special one. For while the improvements and developments have been taking place above the line for all to see, there have been equally momentous developments taking place below the line. Over the last 3 years, we have been working to develop software for a case management system to be rolled out in the magistrates' courts across the country, with integrations with all justice sector partners, starting with the police at one end, ending with the prisons at the other, and everyone else included. And I want to be bold to say that we are just weeks away from this accomplishment. But while we've been doing this, we've also been rolling out smaller modules that are essentially going to be a part of the new system. Magistrate Scarce did not consult with me, and so he said it was another system altogether. I will advise the learned magistrate that it's actually a part of the same system. But what we have tried to do is to make components of the system available when they are ready, and these will eventually all be integrated into a single system. In that regard, early last year, we rolled out e-notice boards, which Magistrate Scarce mentioned, starting in Georgetown and then moving to courts in other parts of the country. Notable about the e-notice boards in Georgetown is that they're not only at the court, but they're also at the court superintendent's office at the Brigdam Police Station, so that people, as they work with the court superintendent's offices across the country, while they're there, they can also get court information being displayed and making it more accessible to them at the time. We've added, like I said, Diamond, and today, when you get to tour the building behind us, you're also going to see that we have these e-notice boards already installed in the building. If you see some of them blank, it's not because they're not working. It's because there's no court today. And so there were no cases with case information to be displayed. In the context that I outlined, today is a very significant day for our development teams because we are announcing today, here at the new Vigilance Magistrates Court, the rollout of our maintenance and affiliation application with digital payments. A considerable challenge to the digital transformation in the court system is how we handle payments digitally. Whether we're talking about bails or fines or filing fees or any other kind of payment that you make at the magistrates' courts, or at any court registry for that matter, when you go on tour again, the first sign you're actually going to see is bail and revenue, suggesting, Magistrate Isaacs, that the need to collect all the revenue is not lost on the court at all in its design. But we are unable to handle those digitally. So whatever we do with digitizing court processes, if we can't handle payments, we don't have a system. I could digress a little bit, with permission, to say that this was the challenge during COVID. The court was very quick to respond to the needs of COVID-19, establishing quickly a filing mechanism, but the filing mechanism was limited by the fact that we had no way to handle digital payments. So people still had to go to a counter somewhere in a court building to make the actual payments. We're now past that challenge. Today, with support we've received from MMG, we are able to introduce for the first time digital court payments in the courts in Guyana, starting with payments for maintenance and affiliation. Persons who've been ordered by the courts to make payments for their children and or former spouses will now be able to make those payments using the MMG platform. In the very near future, those payments could be made from a variety of platforms from anywhere. A father, for example, could today, if he's living outside of the jurisdiction where he has to make his payments, could easily make those payments without going to the specific court building where his case was heard and where he has been ordered to make the actual payments. And the same goes for the recipients of those payments. They'll be able to receive those payments digitally and not have to make a trip to the actual courtroom. The conversion of the orders and records is in progress, started several weeks ago, and recipients are being registered in our system. The digital payments are possible today. If you don't believe me, if you use MMG, take your phone out when I'm done talking. Take your phone out. Who's talking after me? No, don't take your phone out then either. Take your phone out, go to your MMG app, go to payments, and you will see an icon with the scales said court services, and you can actually make payments there. That's if you didn't pay your child support. But we do have to have a lot of training within the court system itself and the registries, and we have to educate the users and beneficiaries. So I suspect that we probably won't be making actual payments on the system until the beginning of September. Before the end of the year, the work of our developers will deliver fully digitally integrated case management. As I speak now, the court has already installed computers at the Diamond Magistrates Court, in the Diamond Court Superintendent's Office at the new divisional headquarters there at Diamond, and at the Lusignan Prison and the prison headquarters in Georgetown. Training has commenced a few months ago, and in a few weeks, we're going to do the same kind of installations here in Vigilance. So these two locations, Diamond and Vigilance, would be the first to experience the new technologies and digital case management that's coming to courts all across Guyana. These new court buildings, like we're celebrating today, are long overdue and will immediately transform the experience of court staff and court users. The new digital systems now have an actual home in which to significantly transform the experience of the delivery of justice. In closing, I wish to acknowledge the outstanding leadership of Justice Cummings Edwards. I think indefatigable is the word that I'm looking for. The Chancellor leads off usually by saying that she knows nothing about technology and then makes great demands to see her vision for digitally transformed courts become a reality in the shortest possible time. I was going to say that the Chancellor has a partner in crime, but that would be a most unfortunate turn of phrase for me to use, especially on court premises with the police present. So let me instead say that the Chancellor is supported by an equally driven Chief Justice, Roxanne George, who somehow finds a way to participate in technical meetings with developers, lead our business committees, all while managing to do Chief Justice things. I want to thank our developers at the National Center for States Courts in the United States, whose contributions to the development of the systems that we will implement are beyond description. I was trying to find a good word, but couldn't find one. I suspect that there's somebody here today who will say that I said nice things about them, and all of those things are true. I also want to thank the team at Tagman Technology and the Supreme Court IT Department and members of the Court Reporting Unit. This was a collaborative effort by teams locally and internationally. Over these years of development, we've also been supported by a broad-based committee that comprises judicial officers, the registrar, deputy registrars and clerks, representatives of the Guyana Police Force, the chambers of the DPP, the chambers of the Attorney General, and most recently, the Guyana Prison Service. I want to say special thanks to MMG for bringing us to the place where digital payments are a reality. And I want to acknowledge the presence of Elizabeth, Giselle, and Christina, who are here representing Babita Ram at this event. Interestingly, I suspect that Babita is at the moment doing a similar activity with the police and the prisons, where digital payments are going to be happening there with MMG. It's helping us to make the integration possible. After 50 years, the band Third World, on their most recent album, said, "There's more work to be done." And that's the way I feel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. I have no doubt that this new initiative will greatly enhance the court user experience as the judiciary proactively tackles challenges and embraces technology. The Honorable Chancellor of the Judiciary, Madam Justice Yonette Cummings Edwards, has undoubtedly been unwavering in her commitment. And as Mr. Graham pointed out, she's been untiring in her efforts to improve the administration of justice in Guyana. The work being done by Mr. Graham, the commissioning of this court, are two quick examples of this. Honorable Chancellor, at this juncture, I would wish to invite Your Honor to deliver remarks. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to adopt the protocol that have been so ably established by you, save and except to add or to recognize the Attorney General, who will be delivering the feature address on behalf of His Excellency the President, to recognize the excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, our General Counsel of CARICOM, our retired Justice Brassington Reynolds, our Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hickens, members of the Bar Council and the Bar Association, and our presiding magistrates, the major, our esteemed guests, and of course, our online participants. A very good afternoon to one and all. It's a hot day, but it's a good day. It's a day in which we are grateful. We at the Supreme Court of Judicature would like to join you in saying that this court is long overdue. The enhancement of the delivery of services in the justice sector is long overdue. But like everything else, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and we have started. So this day we give thanks because of the realization of this spanking new edifice, which you will be having an opportunity to tour and to see the facilities that we have. And as Shakespeare would have said, or the words have been attributed to him, I can no other answer make but thanks and thanks. We're grateful for all who have been involved and to make this project a reality. And this Vigilance Magistrates Court opening today signifies not only improved access to justice, but also the commitment and dedication of a team of judicial officers and staff to achieving that end. Now let us take a brief look back at the events leading up to today, particularly to the construction of this court and how it all unfolded. The original court, which stood in the compound, this very compound, was built in the 1940s. Yes, you heard me clearly, the 1940s, 1940. Apostrophe S. The original court had no architectural style, as you can see. Chief Justice made reference to, if you can turn to the back of your program, you can see the building. It comprised a relatively small wooden building, 2 stories, a courtroom on top floor and chambers for the magistrates, registry and offices on the ground floor for the staff. A basic wooden structure that was about 80 years old and which suffered from inadequate space for staff, structural stability, and it needed constant repairs. Behind that building was a building called the Bailiff's House, and this building was demolished sometime in the 1970s, and you had just some pillars standing in the compound. With all of that, the court still stood tall. Over time, and being exposed to the elements, nevertheless, the building started to show severe signs of wear and tear, constant repairs to the rickety stairways, the walls, the windows, and of course, as the Attorney General will tell you when he comes to speak, that he started his career right here in this very compound, and he had to traverse those very stairs. Frequent repairs took quite a large chunk of our budget, and it did not make sense having to repair and reinforce constantly. Space was a major issue also. The building could not accommodate all the litigants, all the members who had to be coming to court, the support staff for members who come to court, because in our society, we do not come to court alone, we walk with all our relatives to give us that extra support. And so Benab was built to accommodate everyone who came to give support and those who were waiting for their names to be called before they can go up into court to have their day. But that Benab had its own shortcomings. The compound flooded easily, and when it rained, the Benab would have been flooded. We tried to raise the flooring of the Benab, but for persons who were vertically challenged like me, that was no issue to get into the Benab. But for those who were tall, they kept hitting their heads on the ceiling of the Benab. And of course, we could not inflict injuries on persons who were seeking justice and who were coming to the seat of justice to be further traumatized. And so discussions and proposals were made for a new courthouse to replace the existing one, and that began in earnest in 2020. Budget estimates were submitted, and thereafter we await the necessary budget allocations. But for some reason, a spanner was thrown into the works, a huge one. A monkey wrench was thrown into the project, and the project was not given the green light. There were three other projects facing the same fate, if I may say that. The extension of the Guyana Court of Appeal, the construction of a court at Port Kaituma, and the construction of a court at Mabaruma in the Northwest District. Not being daunted and realizing the need to provide access to justice and to provide a better quality of justice for our own people, and realizing the mandate which we have as judicial officers to serve, communication was made with His Excellency the President. And with haste post haste, His Excellency returned a call and detailed the estimates and asked that we resubmit our proposals to the Ministry of Finance. And again, with more haste than was anticipated, the funds were released, and voila, this majestic building. A footnote for you, the other projects that I mentioned, Port Kaituma, Mabaruma, and the extension to the Court of Appeal, they are in their final stages of completion. Now, this court comprises 2 courtrooms, hearing rooms for domestic violence, as you heard from Mr. Akhtar, interview rooms for survivors, smart courts, a different way of obtaining maintenance, and of course, better access to justice. From a small courtroom that was built in the 1940s, with 1 magistrate sitting 3 days per week, and going on circuits to other districts, we now have 2 courtrooms. We'll be having 2 magistrates presiding here, and we have all the necessary facilities and technology to make this a smart court, an e-court. So you heard earlier about the digital notice boards. You heard also about the cameras, microphone, computers, updated maintenance system. And what you will also hear about the support of other agencies to help us achieve this. We are truly grateful to the State of Guyana and the Ministry of Finance, His Excellency the President, and all the stakeholders who would have worked tirelessly to help us to have such a smart facilities. This smart court will get smarter as we advance, and it is an idea whose time has indeed come. And there are additional facilities for attorneys at law, briefing room, probation office, drug treatment, all of which you heard of before, and which you will see when you have a tour of the building. But we continue to push for technological innovations and advancement, not just for the sake of it, but to improve the delivery of justice and legal services. This ultimately leads to the improvement of social and economic lives of all our people. And this is being done through increased accessibility, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. We've received tangible donations from UNICEF for the furnishing and equipment of the domestic violence hearing room and the maintenance system. We've also received tangible support from the US, the National Center for State Courts, the EU, OAS CCAD, the High Commission of Canada, High Commission of the UK, and all other agencies who have given us tremendous support. We are truly grateful, and to you we say thank you. Now, following on the footsteps of the illustrious men and women who sat here from the 1940s up until recently, we have a bevy of beauties who are in the audience, and I will ask them to stand, who will be presiding in this district. Could we ask the magistrates in this district to please stand? Magistrate Fabio Azor, Magistrate Rochelle Liverpool, and they'll be joined by Magistrate Lambert And of course, Magistrate Mittelhauser, who's on leave, and Magistrate George. These are the faces of justice. These are the persons whom you will be seeing, whom you will be interacting when you come to have your cases dealt with here. You may take your seat, please. Magistrates who served there previously, we were told, Magistrate Vera, Magistrate Churaman, Magistrate Prempasad, Magistrate Donald Trotman, Mr. Petrie. And our clerks of court, of course, Magistrate Balrup, how could I forget him, of more recent vintage. Our clerks of court included Mr. Shaky, Mr. Walter Prasad, Mr. Henry Bisundayal, Mr. Tej Jadunat, Mr. Siram Prasad, Mr. Kemaraj, Mr. Benjamin, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Raymond Ramlal, and now we have our own Ms. Rupa Dio Narayan. We are grateful for the services of these judicial officers. And now for the costs, because transparency involves us telling you everything, not how only we got the money, but how also the money was spent. So the contractor who was awarded this project to construct 2 magistrates' court and living quarters, both for magistrates and for clerks of court. The contractor is Builders, Hardware, General Supplies, and Construction. The consultant who undertook to ensure that the work was properly done would have been E&A Consultants, Inc., and I see Mr. Anthony here representing E&A. The date of the contract was on the 13th of July, 2021. The details of the expenditure are as follows. The National Tender Board advanced $263,519,670 for this construction. The furnishing and equipment, $5,725,000. Design and supervision cost $25,479,822. A total cost of $294,724,492. So, with all of that, what we have to show you here, smart courts, which will get smarter as we continue to improve the service, and we are moving smarter towards dispensing justice and delivering our services to the people of Guyana. The residents of the East Coast, starting from Sparendam, all the way to Coven John, this is your court. We ask that you cherish it, and we ask that you hold all judicial officers, even me, to account if you're not getting the quality of service that you are entitled to receiving. Our regional chair is here, Mr. Siram, and I know you were looking forward to this day. And we have suggestion boxes. Feel free to have your suggestions put there, or contact any one of us, the Chief Justice or any one of us, if there is any shortfall or any shortcomings in the services that we are duty-bound to provide as judicial officers. And so, like the Apostle Paul, writing to the Corinthians, we say, thank God for this unspeakable gift. And I thank you, members of the audience, for the courtesy of listening.
Thank you, Honorable Chancellor. Your leadership and vision is indeed exemplary. As you've pointed out, the establishment of courts is part of the broader concept of access to justice, but it also includes having competent, adequately trained judicial officers, and we have 5 of them in this East Demerara Magisterial District. The talented musicians of the Guyana Police Force Steel Band will now entertain us with a musical rendition of the song We Must Cooperate for Guyana. The Police Force Steel Band, ladies and gentlemen. Short and sweet, the Guyana Police Force Steel Band. My next task, had His Excellency been here, would have been to introduce the featured speaker, His Excellency. The rendition by the Guyana Police Force Steel Band is most appropriate. We must cooperate for Guyana because in order to successfully execute projects of this magnitude, as our learned Chancellor has pointed out, the judiciary must collaborate and cooperate with the government. The government's resolve, led by His Excellency, to enhance the efficiency of the justice sector has not gone unnoticed. At this point in time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Mr. Mohabir Anil Nandalal, Senior Counsel, to deliver featured remarks on behalf of His Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, Senior Magistrate Sudhil Scarce, the Honorable Janet Cummings Edwards, Chancellor of the Judiciary, Honorable Roxanne George, Chief Justice, distinguished members of the magistracy, distinguished and esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, CARICOM General Counsel, our Commissioner of Police, Commander of this division, our respected regional chairman, chairperson of the Neighborhood Democratic Council, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be here and to stand in His Excellency's shoes this afternoon to deliver remarks. And it is an honor for many reasons, some very personal to me. The Vigilance Magistrates Court is, as the Honorable Chancellor indicated, is very close to home. I grew up just a stone throw away from this location, and I also hold parliamentary and political responsibility for the east coast of Demerara. When I began my legal career as a member of the practicing bar, I spent many weeks in this compound, months after months, perhaps years after years. Spent a lot of time in the old building. Could tell you the heat, and we didn't have this pronounced global warming then. We had some windows that used to open upwards, the long time colonial windows, but half of them never used to open. They were stuck permanently, nailed down. The benches were wooden, the floors were wooden, the stairway, Chancellor used the adjectival description of rickety. I wish to adopt that. And when you sitting at the bar table, wooden bench, wooden floor, and then a gentleman by the name of Bernard Celestino de Santos comes and sits next to you, you feel a downward impact. Many days I sat next to the likes of Mr. Bernard de Santos in this courtroom, in this building. So this court complex holds a very special place personally to me. And it is quite an honor, as I said, for me to be associated with this opening ceremony. The Chancellor spoke about a wrench in the wheel when the financing of the process suffered some delay. Madam Chancellor, it was not a wrench in the wheel. When the proposals came, the sum that was being requested was comparatively large. And of course, this magistrates court, if you look at it, and most of you are familiar with magistrate courts across the country, this one is quite different. This one is possibly the largest magistrate court building in Guyana, and possibly one of the largest I've seen in the Caribbean. I'm talking about not multiple courtrooms, but one with only 2 courts. And the Chancellor has explained that it's technologically equipped with the highest form of advancement in that area. So indeed, as I said, comparatively, it did raise some eyebrows. And I had the privilege again to have been present. It was a Christmas Eve day when we had the discussion with the Minister of Finance, His Excellency the President, and after we went through the estimates and we understood that where we were going with this type of building, then there was no hesitation whatsoever in approving the requisite financing. And it demonstrates vividly the government's commitment to invest heavily in the judicial system and in the legal system of our country. And it demonstrates vividly the government's commitment to upholding the rule of law and ensuring that there is equal and ready access to justice right across the length and breadth of our country. This court does not stand alone. We are building magistrates' courts at Coven John, not very far from here, at Mabaruma, at Anna Regina. Next week, we will be turning the sod for Magistrates Court to be erected at Friendship on the east bank of the Amarara, and at Timeri, further down the east bank of the Amarara. We have completed spanking new buildings in Maibikuri, Blackbush Polder, Bartica, Kakwani, and I may have Linden, Wismar, and I'm sure I would have omitted a few. So this certainly is not an isolated edifice, an investment. It is a continuous one. And government is very cognizant that with the economic and social transformation taking place in our country, so must the justice system, the rule of law, and access to justice. And the government is committed to invest heavily in those areas. Mr. Alex Graham spoke about digital payment platforms being part of this court apparatus. Only last month, rather last 2 weeks, the same month, we passed in the National Assembly the e-communication and transactions bill. It has been assented and it is now law. And it is that piece of legislation that lays the statutory and legitimate basis and framework for all these digital transactions to take place and become formally recognized by our laws. In short, that bill or that law, as it is now law, allows for every transaction and every form of payment that could have been done or that are being done manually to be done electronically and digitally. And the law recognizes it as valid and as in force as it had it been done non-digitally or non-electronically. So everything that we are doing manually now, we have the legal capabilities to do them electronically and digitally. All we now have to do is to build the requisite infrastructure and platform to bring those transactions into fruition. The Commissioner of Police and the Ministry of Legal Affairs with the technology people are working together in not only designing the law, but crafting a system which we will have to engage the judiciary once we get our concept and design clear, whereby we will be issuing traffic tickets electronically using cameras that are installed across the country, which we intend to continue to do, and have the necessary mechanisms to have those cameras generate images whenever there is a traffic breach. And those images will be sent to the errant drivers or owners of the vehicles, and they will be required to pay those tickets at magistrate courts offices throughout the country, where manually those tickets are currently being paid. At the level of the government, of course, with this law that I'm referring to now in force, central government and state apparatus now have to equip themselves and be equipped with all the digital devices and platforms necessary to allow for this digitization process to unfold within the public and private sector. Yesterday I met with the Bankers Association of Guyana because they have to play a central role, because the payments eventually have to go through the banking sector. So they also have a very important role to play in this exercise. This court, no doubt, will play a very important role in the maintenance of law and order in this part or in this magisterial district. Growing up here, I know the regard that the ordinary citizen has for the majesty of the courts. To get good behavior, to get orderly conduct, many times in these communities, it is the threat of bringing a person to this destination that brings about those types of commendable conduct. And as the Chancellor said, a trip to the court is rarely done in solitude. It is an entire familial outing. Who can't fit inside will stand outside and wait. So I am happy, and this court has a heavy workload. So I am happy that we are, for the first time, having a duplex court that will allow 2 magistrates, and I hope that they will sit simultaneously, and for 5 days per week. That will bring great speed to the way litigation is conducted, and that is always welcomed in our system that has been plagued with chronic delays over the years. As you heard, it has important adjunct facilities, a domestic violence room, a drug rehabilitation room. No doubt it will have conference facilities for lawyers and clients. And these are the important facilities that our courts are now being equipped right across Guyana. And the added feature also is the residence facilities for the magistrates to be here. So wherever the new courts are being built, they have residence quarters for the magistrates, and I believe I heard the clerk as well. These new facilities, in addition to the architecture and design of these courthouses, no doubt will enhance and augment efficiency. Not very far from here, the government, in a collaboration between the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Ministry of Human Affairs, is constructing an edifice that will be styled a Hope and Justice Center. It's a unique concept that we have designed, and it will be a home that will accommodate domestic violence victims, sexual abuse victims, trafficking in persons victims, and it will be equipped with social workers, medical personnel, police presence will be there, and hopefully we have a lawyer there as well. And it would accommodate these victims if there is no other accommodation available other than to go back to the source or the locus in co of the abuse. So is going to be, for want of a better word, a halfway house for domestic violence victims, etc. It's a pilot project that we are doing in Region 4 on the east coast of Demerara, in Region 3, and in Region 1. And once the pilot is successfully executed, it will be replicated across all the administrative regions in our country. This magistrate district and this magistrate's court also is part of a pilot project currently being executed by the Director of Restorative Justice. You will know that restorative justice is now a formal part of our legal system. We have an Act of Parliament that establishes it. There is a director, and we have started right here on the east coast of Demerara, cradling the Vigilance Magistrates Court on the eastern side and the Sparenda Magistrates Court on the western side, a group of communities in which that pilot project in restorative justice is being executed. The regional chairman kindly allowed us use of some part of his building at the RDC office at Triumph on the east coast of Demerara. So the learned magistrates who are presiding here, if they have not already been engaged, will soon be engaged by the Director of Restorative Justice. And again, that is going to be a permanent feature of our magistrates' courts across the country, because restorative justice will be practiced in the magistrates' court across the length and breadth of Guyana. I say all of that to give you an indication of the exciting time that we are celebrating the launch of this wonderful, imposing and impressive facility. It could not have come at a better time. Massive changes are taking place across the legal sector, across the legislative landscape, and in particular in the area of criminal justice and in areas that will impact this magistrates' court. Only this morning, Madam Chancellor and Madam Chief Justice, I held a conference with a consultant whom I am engaging to rehaul and relook at our Evidence Act. It's now, our Evidence Act is 1893, United Kingdom. By sheer passage of time, and without even me making out a case, it requires overhaul. So that is on the agenda. The Domestic Violence Act will be repealed soon, and a new one will be, it will be replaced by a new one, a Family Violence Bill. That will be modern, that will be both civil and criminal. Pieces of legislation like the Extramural Work Act, that's going to be repealed and replaced by a modern substitute, and that will allow magistrates the facility and the discretion to have at your disposal a repertoire of penal sanctions alternative to custodial sentences. Because we are moving in the direction where we believe that custodial sentences should be resolved only for the very violent and serious offenses. We can make greater use of our human resources, and we can rehabilitate and reform them in a more efficient and economic way, other than by locking them away in prison centers across the country. So I know the heat is sweltering, and I will not want to overstay my time. Honorable Chancellor of the Judiciary and Madam Chief Justice, I want to congratulate you and Team Supreme. I know that's the name, I didn't hear that name mentioned today. But Team Supreme is the brand that I have become accustomed to as the energizing brand, of course, led by Her Honor the Chancellor, that would have accomplished all these majestic tasks of building these edifices across our country. I want to once again congratulate you and to thank you very much for inviting His Excellency and, of course, by extension, myself to be part of this, and for affording me the opportunity to offer a few remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General. We are grateful for government's commitment to the justice sector, whether it be through the provision of funding, the passage of legislation, as you would have alluded to, or the implementation of new programs and policies to enhance the administration of justice. It is the international recording reggae artist Coffee who has immortalized through song the phrase, "Gratitude is a must." We certainly have a lot to be thankful for today. To express our gratitude and appreciation, I would like to invite His Worship, Magistrate Dillon Bess, to move the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Anil Nandalal, Senior Counsel, Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General of Guyana, Honorable Madam Justice Yonit Cummings Edwards, Chancellor of the Judiciary, acting, Honorable Roxanne George Wilshire, Chief Justice of Guyana, acting, special invitees, ladies and gentlemen all, please permit me to adopt the protocol that has already been established at the beginning of this event. An exceptional good afternoon to you all. A famous philosopher, Voltaire, said these words: "Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us as well." I interpret this to mean that when I say thank you today, I get to enjoy the blessing of what each participant gave to this event as well. My colleagues know that I'm not selfish, so I want you to share with me in this enjoyment. I therefore take this opportunity to invite you to do something a bit unconventional at an event like this. I invite you to close your eyes. Yes, close your eyes. Don't fall asleep, but I want you to reminisce on the moments of this event, the exhibition of talent that you experienced here today, the insightful comments and remarks, the inspiring and informative address that was given today. Now I'm going to count to 3. Keep your eyes closed. And when you open your eyes, I would like you to whisper the words, "Thank you." 1, 2, 3. Thank you. After such a dramatic expression, I think my job is done. But if you would permit me just one moment, I would like to single out a few persons on today's program that made this event memorable and significant. Would you permit me to call a few names? Yes, thank you. We start with the Honorable Anil Nandalal, Attorney General of Guyana. I prepared my vote of thanks with the view of using some puns with the 2 ear fans in our audience. But Honorable Attorney General was the quite appropriate person to attend this event and to give the feature address. We know that he has a busy schedule, and we want to thank him this afternoon for taking some time from his very, very demanding schedule to be with us here today and to give the feature address. We thank you for your thoughts, Honorable AG. We are truly inspired. We all leave this event with a clearer view of our government's plan for our judiciary and Guyana as a whole. But there are others who we want to thank as well. All the attendees, members of the diplomatic corps, stakeholder agencies, such as the Guyana Police Force, represented herein by the Commissioner of Police himself, the Director of Public Prosecution, NGOs. We appreciate your presence today, and we say thank you for attending. Mr. Irfan, the second Irfan I was going to joke about this afternoon, Mr. Irfan Akhtar, Deputy Representative of UNICEF, we appreciate your congratulatory remarks and your encouragement. Your organization has been partnering with Guyana's judiciary for quite some time, and you have been contributing to our efforts in expanding access to justice. We are particularly grateful for your donations to the new DV office in this building. It will help us to extend our reach to the communities that we serve in this district. We are extremely thankful. I express special thanks to the Chancellor of Guyana's judiciary. She took us down memory lane, remember, 1940s? She brought us to present day with the new improvements that we can expect in this modern edifice, and she told us the cost of all this good work. We want to thank you, Honorable Chancellor, for your transformative leadership and for your insightful thoughts at today's event. Honorable Chief Justice, we thank you as well for your words of welcome and direction on today's program and for your assertive leadership in our judiciary as well. We could not have had this event happen the way it did today without these two ladies, and I invite you to give them a round of applause. As we say in our legal fraternity, much obliged, Your Honors. Much obliged. Michaela Lowe, Roy Stewart, the National Dance Company of Guyana. We deeply appreciated your artistic expressions and the sharing of your talent with us this afternoon. We were entertained. When I say entertained, I was sitting right there tapping my foot as Roy played his sax, and I was enjoying the symphony of songs that came from him. Michaela, I enjoyed the part in your poem that said magistrates don't have to use their pens anymore. We thoroughly enjoyed that as magistrates. We were entirely entertained, and we thank you for your rich exhibition of your talent. Thank you very much. To the Guyana Police Force's Steel Band, you are always there when we call, and I must give credit where credit is due. Magistrate Azor would use the words, they are on fleek. And I want to adopt those particular words this afternoon. We thank you for your renditions and your support at this event. We are very pleased to have you here. Her Worship Shardel Isaac Marcos, she introduced us to the new baby, and look at it, what a beautiful boy it is. Well, it can be a girl too. Magistrate Isaac Marcos, we are thankful for your thoughts and the entertaining way within which you outlined the modern facilities that we can expect in this beautiful baby. Did you enjoy the tech presentation from Mr. Graham? Yes? We were able to see that right here in Guyana on the East Coast for the first time in history, that the court, the magistrates' court, will have, or already has, a modern digital payment system that is operational and functional from today. And if you're doubting, take out your MMG and you can put some money in the court. We will be happy to have it. Mr. Graham, we thank you. You've demonstrated to us that we in Guyana are ahead of the curve, and you have been one of those, and your team, that has been helping us to get ahead of the curve. Your support means a lot to us, and we thank you. To our IT team and the court reporting unit, and we thank you for all the tech support that you have been providing to us over the years, and particularly for this event today. You're able to have persons join us via live stream on the internet, and we are grateful for your support. Thank you for taking the time to do this as well. We cannot forget our prayer leaders, Pandit Gusai, Imam Azad Osman, and Pastor Mahendra Sharma. They set the tones for today's event. They invited God's presence and his blessings on this event. Inevitably, those blessings allowed us to enjoy this memorable event. So we say to you, good gentlemen of the cloth, God bless you and thank you. The bevy of beauties that sit somewhere in the middle of the audience, the best magistrates in the country, we want to thank you for the hard work that you do and for making it important to be in attendance at today's event. For the other magistrates that are also the best in Guyana, we want to thank you all for taking time out from your busy schedule to join us at this event today. But of course, the superstar of today are the hard-working staff of Team Supreme. Give them a round of applause. Honorable AG, we got the words in, right? The Clerk of Court, Ms. Rupa Dianarayan, and staff of the Supreme Court, including administrative staff, court staff, support staff, janitors, cleaners, the staff of the Vigilance Magistrate Courts. They were here up to 11 last night, putting decorative pieces in place and making this event a success. We want to acknowledge how much you have been doing, and we say thank you. We see the fruits of your efforts, and we see the fruits that you have placed in this event today. Please give them a round of applause for their hard work and dedication. To my brother, Senior Magistrate Sunil Skeers, who took us through this program with such skill, grace, and eloquence, we say thank you. Give him a round of applause, please. Magistrate Azor, I want to thank you for hosting us at Vigilance today. I look forward to touring your new facility and to enjoying the ambience that you will be enjoying in the days to come. I know that the Honorable Chancellor and the Honorable Attorney General have already signaled to you that in my neck of the woods, a spanking new edifice is also being constructed. So I take this opportunity to express the hope that I will see you in Region 1 in the near future when the Port Kaituma Magistrates Court and the other magistrate courts in that region are going to be open. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each of you for being here and making this day a wonderful and memorable one for Guyana's judiciary. Thank you once again.
And I want to thank you, Magistrate D-Bess, for your words of thanks. At this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish to invite you, led by the Honorable Attorney General himself and Senior Magistrate Fabio Azur, to the courthouse for the ceremonial cutting of the ribbon and the unveiling of the plaque to commission the Vigilance Magistrates Courts. I'll also mention that refreshments are available, and are to be had during the tour or after the tour. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Sure, Mr. Actor, it's a pleasure to meet you. We're usually accustomed to seeing Mr. Sean Nicholas. Yes. So it's a pleasure to meet you today.
Don't you cut yet?
Hey. All right, very good.
Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. One people, one nation, one destiny. Don't stop for a minute. Come, let me take a walk with Brother Tiki. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments. They're so unique. The hybrid structure, the lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, the cathedral, 176th Street monuments, and the beautiful city hall. You know with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-N, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-N, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Loosen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-A, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-A, one people, one nation, one destiny. Don't stop for a minute. Come, let me take a walk with Brother Tiki. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments. They're so unique. The hybrid structure, the lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, cathedral, 176th Street, monuments, and the beautiful city hall. You know with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-A, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-A, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-A, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-A, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Loosen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. Gee.